Okay, so honestly, I remember when I was a kid, a lot of crazy things were happening. Like, my life is always so bizarre and always so crazy. And honestly, every time I get on the microphone just to tell you guys one of these, I always have to recite everything that happens. And honestly, like, sometimes I miss out little bits and pieces. And sometimes I just think, holy cow, I really just told the story to the whole internet. But today's story is something a little too crazy. And honestly, I don't even know if it's allowed on YouTube. So YouTube, I'm going to keep this as PG as possible. PG. But yes, if you guys did see from the title, this is the very sus sleepover. But also, before I get into it, I want to make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe for more of these stories. Seriously, clicking that like button and subscribing means a lot when you guys do it. Like, seriously, let's aim for 2,000 likes on this video. It would mean a lot if we can do that. And on top of that, if you guys don't know, I am currently live right now on Twitch. Like, literally, as you're watching this video right now, I am live streaming to a bunch of other people live. So if you guys want to talk to me live, I mean, you might as well. This is your chance to talk to me, get into conversation, try to figure me out, and try to really, I don't know, interrogate me if you want to know if these stories are real. Because in my mind, I can say 100 times they're real, but obviously not everyone will believe it. So I guess this is your chance in a way. Anyways, going on though, let's get straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story is a little sus. Now, I'm not talking like Among Us sus. I'm talking like sus. Basically, I remember back when I was in high school, this was my grade 10 year. And being in grade 10, obviously, like I said, usually in grade 10, I was like in that stage of always, you know, getting active, you know, I was talking to chicks, getting excited, you know, like I knew that I was really good at doing the devil's tango. And, you know, that was like that time of the year when, you know, I would just go for girls, play Call of Duty, hit up more girls. It was that stage in my life. And I remember when I was just kind of like, you know, doing that, I had a group of guys because obviously for some reason I was considered cool in a sense because I knew a lot of chicks, which is really weird because like, I don't know, it just was awkward in a way, but you know, whatever. And I remember this group of guys, these were like friends of mine, I guess. And they were like kind of nice. They were chill with me and stuff. They were good to me. I'll say that much. They were good until a certain time. That's a story for another time. But going on, I remember one of the guys invited me over to like this guy's night. And you know, it was basically like a guy play date or whatever, but it was overnight. So in a way, it was a guy's slumber party. I don't like calling it a guy's slumber party, but honestly, it just makes the most sense in a way. And I remember he invited me and he said all the friends he was inviting and stuff. And it was like, I don't know, like a group of 10 guys. Obviously, you know, this was a cool way to, you know, meet more people, network, and, you know, get, I guess, a better friend group in high school in a way, I guess. I don't know. So I remember telling him, oh yeah, like sure, like I'm down to go to sleepover, like why not? And then he told me, bro, it's not a sleepover, man, it's a guy's hangout night. What are you talking about? Sure. Anyways, going on, I remember he invited me, and as he invited me, I remember another guy walked up to me saying, oh, it's gonna be super fun, and he slapped me right in my peach. Yeah, he slapped me on my peach. I don't know why. I guess it's like a thing that sports players do because he was like a sports player, like he played rugby, so I guess it was just this thing to slap my peach. I don't know, man, I really don't care. And I remember when he did that, I felt really awkward, and obviously I was like, dude, like relax, okay, relax. Like if it was a girl doing it to me, I wouldn't mind, but you know, it was a guy. Did not want him touching my peach. You guys get the case. I don't have to keep talking about the peach. Going on, I remember the next day happened, and I remember he invited us all over, and obviously this was a Friday going on to a Saturday night, so obviously it was a lot better. And I remember I got my things ready, I packed my stuff, I got my bag, or duffel bag I should say, and packed it all up with all my clothes, my toothbrush, my razor, everything, and I got ready to leave. When I drove down there, I remember I parked my car and there was a full lot of other different people's cars. It was like there was like a serious party happening when in reality it was just a bunch of guys at one place. It was like a literal sausage fest. I don't know what else to tell you. I remember I walked in through the door, and when I walked through, I remember seeing all the guys just kind of chilling, playing video games, watching TV, Snapchatting their girls, all that stuff. And I remember when I walked in, instantly a guy who invited me walked up to me saying, hey Bubba, welcome to the party, and then he slapped my peach. Honestly, I don't understand why people are slapping my peach, bro. I don't get it. Sorry. Going on. So I walked in, I was just kind of chilling, you know, I saw people getting food, we ordered pizza, and we ordered more food, and then we just kept playing video games. But then the most weirdest of the weird ended up happening. One of my friends stood up on the couch saying, guys, we gotta play games, bro, it's games night time. And I thought we were just gonna like, I don't know, open up like Call of Duty and do like 1v1s or something like we usually do when I was a kid, when I was going into a sleepover. But no, he wanted to do something more. I remember we ended up playing Truth or Dare. Now this is where things get really sus. We were playing Truth or Dare, and I remember we were going around the circle. Obviously a lot of people chose Truth and, you know, said some confession about their girlfriend. Like one of my friends said, oh, like my girlfriend likes it when I put my feet in between her cherries. Ooh. Yeah, I don't understand. To this day, I'll never understand that, but that was just stuck in my head for the longest time. And then going on, I remember, you know, people were going around the circle, people licked walls. This game got extreme. And then it came to my turn. Now, honestly, I don't like telling people about my private life. As funny as that is, honestly, I don't like saying names. I don't like saying like, you know, this person, that person, nor do I like saying anything. To be be honest, when I tell these stories, I try to be very vague. So don't, the irony of me making videos about these and then telling about my private life, but at the same time, it's not like I'm giving you all the information. But continue on with the story. I remember it came to me and I said dare instead of truth. I said dare because dare was, the better option. I guess for me in that case. And I remember my friend told me, take off all my clothing and run around the block. I was going to run around the block butt naked. Are you serious? Honestly, I did not want to do this. I really did not want to do this, but it was truth or dare. And I'm a man of my word when it comes to truth or dare. So I remember I went to the bathroom. I got butt naked. I ran outside and I just ran around the block. I swear there was some old granny just looking at me through the window, seeing me do that. And I think she did call the cops. I'm not 100% because I heard sirens, but I guess they didn't find me because I was in the house. But you know what? It was weird. I don't know. I ran around the block. I came back in. I put on my clothes and everyone was just laughing except one guy. One guy was not laughing. He was actually smiling in enjoyment. I don't know why. I was always odded out by that. And we sit down and when it was the guy who was smiling's turn to go for truth or dare, but it was me to ask him. I remember I told him truth or dare. And then he said, oh, like I'll choose like dare. And I realized the way he talked was really, how do I put this in non-canceling way? It was fruity. Okay. It was like a fruity kind of like talk. Like, when you meet like a gay guy and he has like that gay guy voice, I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm not trying to get canceled, but like, it's not all gay guys people, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like you guys get the gist of what I'm saying, right? Well, he kind of had that accent. And I remember I told him, oh, kiss him. And I pointed at the guy who invited me to the party and also made me run around the block naked. And funny enough, the guy who like invited me didn't want to do it. He's like, no, dude, like that's too much. That's too much. And then after that, the guy who I told to do it was excited. He was like, oh, I'll do it any day. And instantly, this guy ended up grabbing him by the shoulders, like literally by the shoulders and kissing him. And it got to the point where it wasn't just a tap kiss like I expected. They were straight up making out. Like it was, oh my God, dude. If I had to explain this, bro, it was so sus because everyone was just looking like kind of like, should we interfere with this? Do we do anything? And then that happened. Now, you guys thought that was like the end of it, right? You guys probably like, oh, like that's it. Okay, they kissed. Whoop-de-doo. No, it gets more sus. Keep listening. I remember the night came and basically, everyone's getting ready for bed. Everyone's laying down in the living room, sleeping, getting ready to sleep as we watch a movie. And I remember as I was laying down, the guy that was like somewhat gay, I think he was gay. Honestly, he never came out to as gay or anything, but he was laying down beside me. And I remember as he was laying down beside me, he was touching my thigh and then he put his arm around my neck. And at this point, I was so uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, dude, relax. Like I literally stood up. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He looked at me. He's like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, dude, no, you know what you're doing. And after that, everyone just kind of looks at me and him. And the guy's like, okay, I have something to tell you guys. He stood up in front of the TV and told all of us that he was bisexual. Honestly, this was the first time I ever heard that word. I'm gonna be honest. At that time, that was the first time I ever heard it. And I was so confused. I'm like, bisexual? Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't like the devil's tango? Like, you say bye to it? Like, what do you mean? He's like, no, look, I'm into guys and girls. Oh, okay. That's great, man. Like, I literally said, that's great, dude. Like, be what you want to be, but don't touch me. And then I ended up, moving into a different spot and laying down and I slept. But the story gets worse, okay? You guys thought that was the end? No, it still gets worse. I remember what ended up happening was I woke up in the middle of the night out of nowhere. And I was kind of near the bathroom door. Like, I was kind of like sleeping near the bathroom because, I want easy access to go pee-pee. And I remember I ended up like waking up and I just heard grunting in the bathroom. And I looked around to see who was in the bathroom to like, look at everyone, see who's in the bathroom, figure out what's happening. And I realized that the guy who came out as bisexual was in the bathroom. And apparently to this day, we're not 100% sure, folks. Okay, so don't 100% this on me. But apparently he was beating it in the bathroom. He was slapping his eggplant in the bathroom when I was literally near it. At this point, dude, I felt so uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I did not want to be there anymore. This sleepover got way too sus for me. So I remember I ended up getting my things, packing everything, and I went home. The next day at school, my friend came up to me saying, yo, like, bro, like, you left the party early, man. Like, what happened to you? We all got breakfast. And I told him, bro, I don't want to talk about it because I'm not a snitch, but I'm never going to one of those again. Now, I think boyfriend groups and girlfriend groups are two very different categories of life. And not just because there's male and female. Let's just say the boys, well, they take jokes to a new level, which could be really concerning, but at the same time, kind of gay. But today's story is exactly that. So before we get into it, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do, and also helps me out to make more stories just like this. But other than that, let's just jump straight into this insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a really sus story time. So today's story takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 11 year. So in grade 11, I had a group called the Boys, and the Boys were one of a kind. kind. I mean, we would have the funny one. We'd have the one that, you know, usually took care of all of us. We had the guy that was the ultimate Rizzler, which was me, by the way. But basically, we had a guy for every category of, well, the boys. And let's just say one of the boys that we ended up becoming friends with was the most sussest thing on the planet. I say thing because, well, he's actually not a boy anymore, but that's not the point. But anyways, one time in my grade 10 year, me and all the boys were hanging out and we were all just sitting on the football field, just hanging out, chilling. And I remember we were all sitting down trying to plan what we wanted to do for the weekend because it was a Friday. Now, obviously, some of the guys wanted to go out and party. Some people wanted to go hang out with some girls. But obviously, one thing that me and the boys haven't done a lot of was sleepovers. And luckily for us, one of the boys ended up having their parents leave for a trip. So he decided to say, yo, bro, we can have everyone over at my place this weekend. The house is gonna be totally empty. Like, why not? When he said that, obviously all the boys said yes. Like, it's a must do. And obviously when the boys have a sleepover, anything could happen. And I mean it, anything could happen, from bonfires to the backyard to kissing the homies goodnight, like literally anything. So me being excited for having the guys sleepover, obviously I ended up going home that day and getting ready to pack my stuff. As I was packing my things, you know, I started like, you know, packing up my clothes, pajamas, you know, all that cool stuff. And right as I start heading towards my car, I remember my mom walked up to me and she ended up telling me, Baba, if you need anything, make sure you know you can call me, okay? And I'll be there right away. Yes, Mom, I'll be fine, okay? Like, don't worry about me. Okay, but please just be careful, okay? Mom, I told you I'm gonna be okay. My mom was always concerned about me and always cared for me because I was her only son, but at the same time, Mom, it's just the boys. Like, how bad could it get? And as I say that, I won't lie to you, things got a lot worse. I remember when I got to the sleepover, we ended up having all the guys over, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty fun at first. We all sat down watching fight videos, listening to some crazy new music that was released by Juice WRLD because he was alive at the time. And on top of that, we started just basically hanging out, chilling, and just kind of eating and ordering pizza and vibing. And I remember as we were all sitting down chilling, one of the guys ended up saying something really weird. He ended up saying, yo, who do you think is gonna sleep first in the sleepover? Now, when he asked that question, I thought that was really weird because why would we want to sleep early? Like, you're making it sound like we need to sleep now when in reality it was very unnecessary. So I remember we all looked at him and said, oh, like, I don't know, like none of us really. And I'm not gonna lie, when you ask that in a sleepover, we all know it's a total buzzkill because obviously why would you care to sleep at a sleepover? The whole point of a sleepover is not just the sleeping part, it's the over part where you're supposed to hang out and have fun. So I remember we all looked at him and said, oh, like probably super late. You know, we're just giving him a normal answer even though we probably planned on staying up all night. I'm just saying this now, we did not end up staying up all night. Anyways, after that question, he ended up asking another question that was really weird and really sus. And honestly, a lot of the guys had no idea what in the world he was on. Like, I'm gonna be honest, he was super weird. And then one thing leads to another. He ends up saying something like this in front of the whole group. Yo, guys, so like, have you guys been like, you know, like doing anything weird lately? I remember we all looked at each other and we're like, what do you mean? And then that's when he ended up bringing up how his girlfriend ended up trying out the devil's cream and actually ate it and swallowed it. And he was curious about how it tasted. Now, at this point, I'm not gonna lie to you, that was really gross. And we all looked at him as if he was totally dumb, and we just told him, yo, bro, like, why would you care what it tastes like? Like, that's kind of weird. We all ended up staring at him like really awkwardly for like, I want to say 3 minutes, until one of the guys ended up saying that we should all play Mario Kart. So all of us ended up sitting down playing Mario Kart on the couch until like the very end of the night. Now, I want to say around like 2:30 at night, a lot of us were getting tired, and I'm not gonna lie, there was no chance we were all gonna stay up. So we all ended up laying down and, you know, basically getting our places ready to go pass out. Me, I always usually take a couch or a guest bedroom if possible, because I can't actually sleep on the ground like other people do. Like, I would have to be super really messed up to really sleep on the floor. Anyways, after I set up my place to sleep, I remember I ended up laying down and I ended up having my phone out and I started watching like a movie, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I have like one of those weird addictions where when I'm sleeping, I need to watch something to pass out to, or just have some sort of background music or sound just so I can like sleep properly. It's a really bad addiction, and I think it's because I was an iPad kid growing up. But anyways, I remember I started watching the Rad Brad, which is one of my favorite YouTubers, by the way. I love watching him because he just plays video games for a living, which is super cool. Anyways, going on, I was watching him and I ended up passing out. When I passed out, I remember I was sleeping, but at the same time, like, I wasn't like dead asleep. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know when you're like asleep, but you're not like dead asleep, like, you know, like still what's happening around you and stuff. And I remember when I was asleep, a lot of the guys were also passed out, except this one dude. And this one dude was the weird dude that ended up telling us about his girlfriend trying his devil's cream. And I remember he ended up getting up and started like kind of like moving around our sleeping places, which is super weird, by the way. And me on the couch, I'm just sitting there, like, kind of like thinking like, oh, like, should I like, you know, go see what's going on? Is he okay? Why is he up? Like, is everything all right? I remember I ended up seeing this guy go to the bathroom. So I just thought, you know what? Maybe he just needed to drop a deuce. But then one thing led to another. I remember I ended up basically seeing him coming out of the bathroom with his pants still on the ground, and he ended up walking around with his eggplant out. Now at this point, I thought maybe he was just like, you know, like scared that he clogged the toilet or something. I don't know. I thought something happened. So I remember what I decided to do was just turn my head around and basically just kind of ignore it, because I obviously didn't want to see his eggplant. Like, that's kind of gay. And now this is where the story gets really, really bad, because I remember out of nowhere, I ended up hearing a fapping sound over and over. Like, all I heard was... And I felt so weirded out because I was like, yo, like, what is that sound? I remember I turned my head, and that's when I opened my eyes and I was trying to bust a devil's creep on my buddy's face that invited us to the sleepover in the first place. Now at this point, I was super weirded out, and I remember I ended up basically sitting up saying, yo, bro, what are you doing? And right as this guy looks at me with his eggplant in his hand, I remember the dude that he was about to do the devil's creep on ends up opening his eyes as well. And then that's when this guy that had the eggplant in his hand ended up doing the devil's creep right on this guy's face. I am not joking. He literally put it right on his... I remember the guy ended up getting up, freaking out, saying like, yo, bro, what are you doing? And then from there, everyone else started waking up to this guy holding his eggplant on his hand, while the other homie that he ended up putting the devil's creep on ends up like having like a full-on like facial. I don't know. It was super gross and super gay. And I remember all of us ended up looking at him like, yo, bro, what did you just do? And he just looks around saying, it's just a prank, man. Like, I was just pranking. It's seriously, isn't it funny? It was disgusting. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. From there, the sleepover basically ended. We ended up basically calling all our parents, and we all ended up going home. And let's just say this guy that he ended up doing the devil's creep on, the host of the party, ended up taking 3 showers just so he could get the taste out of his mouth, which makes no sense. Why wouldn't you just use a toothbrush? You know what? Never mind. It was high school. We were stupid, okay? All right, you guys. So today's story is honestly something that I did not want to tell. But since I'm no longer friends with this person, I feel like it'd be awesome to tell, because it has something to do with his mother. So before anything, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more crazy stories just like this one. And honestly, I'm too excited, so let's just get straight into this. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story takes place, actually funny enough, 2 years ago. Now 2 years ago, I was 19 years old by myself and living in a penthouse. The reason for this was because, well, thanks to you guys, I ended up blowing up on TikTok and making enough to actually live in a penthouse, which is really weird in my mind, but at the same time, it was really awesome knowing that I started to grow an audience, because all I did was doing the devil's tango. Obviously, there's more to it, of course, but that was like the main gist of why I ended up living into a penthouse, because honestly, I want to live that cool lifestyle that your favorite YouTubers all have. And little did I realize it was honestly a waste of money. But I remember one time when I lived in the penthouse, I lived in this really nice building. And this building was a good building, and a lot of girls recognized it because it was right beside the club that I used to always go to go pick up more girls. And I remember one time when I was just chilling one time and not going out on a Friday night, I basically decided to hang out at home and record videos. But I remember one time I basically ended up hopping on Discord with me and the boys, which is like a friend group of mine that I had since high school, and basically started to talk to them and basically had a normal conversation until one of the boys ended up joining, and he basically started freaking out. He started freaking out saying, guys, I don't know where my mom is. Like, my mom says she's going out to go see a guy, but like, now I don't know what's going on, and apparently like she's like out doing something. I'm so confused. I remember me and the boys decided to tell him to calm down and basically just call the cops to find her. But for some reason, he didn't want to do that because apparently his mom was hiding something that he could not address to the cops and explain, nor was he even going to tell us it. So instead, I decided to ask him saying, okay, well, where's the last time, you saw her? He ended up saying, but I think my mom's somewhere around your area. Wait, around my area is what I said. And at that point, I realized that I would probably have to do something to help him out, because this is a good friend of mine since high school. And also, not to mention, his mom also used to always be super nice to me every time I'd go over to my friend's place to do a sleepover. So I basically ended up saying, okay, well, listen, I'll maybe just take a drive around and see if I can find her, okay? He ended up saying okay, and he ended up texting his mom as well to basically try to look for me in my car. I remember that night, I ended up basically putting on some sweatpants and a hoodie, and I started getting in my car and driving around. I drove around a couple blocks around my area because, in my area, there are a lot of clubs and stuff, and I'd rather not be out late at night. So I started driving around looking for her, seeing if I could find her at all, but honestly, nothing showed up. I remember I ended up calling my friend while I was in the car saying, yo, bro, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea where she is. And my friend ended up saying, dude, I literally told my mom to go to like your place, okay? My mom might be at your house by now. Wait, what? is what I ended up saying. And then that's what I realized as I was going towards my building and about to go to the underground parking lot. She was already there in the soaking rain, just basically getting drenched and just waiting outside my building. At that point, I remember I told her to get in my car real quick as I went to go park it underground. And I asked her the question of, hey, is everything all right? Like, your son was really worried about you. I remember the mom basically started explaining how, like, you know, after her divorce, she never really went out and had fun and she wanted to do it like she used to back when she was younger. I could understand that, you know. I guess, you know, having a son really restricts things from having fun, but since your son's older now, I mean, it makes sense to go have fun again. And then one thing led to another. I tried to like basically have like a moral understanding with her and just talk to her as if she was a friend instead of my friend's mom. And I remember she felt really appreciative of that. And basically I ended up parking the car and we started going upstairs. We went upstairs to my place, and I remember since I lived in a really big penthouse, I decided to let her have like the couch because none of the rooms actually had like, you know, a place to sleep. Like one room had a gaming setup, the other room had like my bed, and the other two rooms, well, they were just full of storage because I really had nowhere else to put things. I remember when my friend's mom entered the house, she ended up looking around and seeing that it's kind of insane that I live in a penthouse by myself. But I told her, you know, like, you know, thanks to you guys on, you know, watching my videos and stuff, it ended up just working out. And then for some reason, things kind of just ended up flipping. She ended up coming near me saying, oh, like, so like, you're like famous, I guess, and like, you do all this your own. My son could never. Wait, what is what I said? And then for some reason, she started comparing her son to me. Now, parents, if you guys are watching this video, never compare your kids to another kid because it just leaves that kid to be dumb. And yes, some kids are more successful than others, but at the same time, do you really got to compare them? Everyone comes in their own time. But I remember afterwards when she said that, I basically ended up saying, okay, I'm just gonna get your blankets and you can just kind of sleep on the couch. And yeah. And I basically ended up going to get some blankets that I had extra in my house and basically ended up putting it on the couch. When I put it on the couch, I remember she looked at me and said, oh, like, I don't really want to sit alone. Like, can we like watch a movie together or something? I just need to distract myself from what happened tonight. I ended up looking at her kind of odd, and I ended up sitting up beside her and turning on the TV. But as I sat beside her, I asked her the question that I need to know. I asked her, hey, I have a question. Where were you when, you know, when your son was texting you, you didn't answer? She ended up explaining how she got into some old habits that she was not proud of back in high school. And basically, she kind of just ended up becoming, well, how do I put this? An addict. I remember I was kind of like confused and I really didn't want to understand, nor did I want to know, to be honest, because, you know, I'm literally friends with her son. You know what I mean? Like, it just became awkward. And also, she was always like a second mom to me. Like, I knew her as if she was like my own mother. So I basically ended up kind of backing off and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to bed. You do what you gotta do. So I ended up going back in my room and I started editing the YouTube videos. When I was editing the videos, I remember midway through the night, I ended up hearing a noise randomly and it was a really awkward noise. I remember listening towards my door and I heard a noise that I did not want to hear, but it sounded something like this. Now, this noise could be one of two things. One, it could be her having a really bad nose issue, which, you know, I have as well, and having a really bad cold sucks. Or two, she is literally snorting the sugar in my living room. So at that point, I remember I got up with a box of napkins that was sitting in my office, and I basically ended up going there saying, hey, I brought this for you. She ended up looking at me as she literally had a straw that I used, by the way, that was in my kitchen, and literally putting sugar on the, you know, counter. At this point, I looked at her and I said, are you good? She ended up looking at me saying, oh, like, don't tell this to him. Like, please don't say anything. But obviously at that point, there's no way I wasn't going to say anything. She was literally doing drugs in my house. So right as I was going for the phone, trying to basically give my friend a call, she ended up saying, okay, Bubba, listen, I'll do literally anything. Anything is what I said. And that's what had happened. She ended up literally just taking off all her clothing right in front of me as if she had nothing to lose. And basically she just started coming towards me and tried making out with me. And by tried, I mean, I was pushing my head back, but she kept pushing it forward with her hand that was behind my head. And one thing led to another. I kind of just said, you know, it, and I just decided to do it with her. Me and her, we ended up doing the devil's tango in my place. And, you know, the next morning, I realized that this was the biggest mistake ever, because me telling my friend about this was not going to be easy. But honestly, the story is long enough, so I'm going to save it for another time. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And like I always say, follow for more insane stories. Peace out, guys.